Hi everybody, it's Mr. Han. And last couple of weeks we've been looking at methods and spending a little bit more time on methods than we normally do because of this distance learning thing. We're spending a couple weeks on each module. So I thought I'd take this chance to actually show you a little bit about the main method. So the main method is a method just like any other method. But we see it so often we kind of forget that we call this thing the main method. So when we create a program in NetBeans, you'll create oftentimes a class. Okay, sometimes you may have a package also attached to that class, and then it'll automatically generate this main method, which is how the computer knows where to start your program. It's the method that the program knows to start at every single time. And one of the things I want you to notice about it is it looks just like any of the methods that we would be creating. So we've been spending a little bit of time creating methods. So our methods might look something like this. So I might create one that says public static void display to screen. Okay, and then I would pass it some arguments. So in this case, I'd be passing in an array, okay, of strings, and I'm calling it S. Okay, and so in order for that to happen, it comes in order for that array to be displayed, it goes through a for loop. Okay, so I'm going to start at element 0. That would be the array that's in position 0, the string that's in position 0 of the array. And then I'm going to go through the entire length of the array, but that's where this s.length comes in. Okay, that means that if my array changes in length, if I add more elements or I take elements away, my loop will always work, it won't fail. And I'll always go up by one element to input the next element into our output here. So then it goes system.out.println, and it's going to print out what that element is and a space. So that's a pretty simple method that takes in an array of strings, okay, and then displays them. The main method isn't that much different. Okay, you'll notice that it has kind of the same signature, okay, but it is called main. Okay, it doesn't return anything, void. Okay, and it also has this part of the signature where it has public static at the beginning. So static just means that you don't need to create an object in order to make use of that method, so it makes it a class method. And public just means that that's its access level. It's available to all parts of your program. So basically the main method is just like a regular method, and it also takes in a array of strings, and it's called args. And because that array of strings is called args, you can access it in the main method. So I can actually loop through my arguments that are passed in to my main method, and I can show you what that looks like here. So if I go to my project and I go to properties and I go to run, you'll see there's this line here for arguments. So I can actually pass in arguments when I build this thing. So there's my argument. I'm going to call it healthy. Okay. And now when I run this thing, what you'll see is that we get this loop going through the length of arguments that I provided. In this case, it's just one, so it's just element 0, and it prints it out. There's healthy right there underneath. Okay. Let's have a quick look at that again. So we're going to go run. Sorry, we're going to go here, properties, run, and now I can put in more elements. So we can put in healthy, strong, safe, and now run our program again. And there they are there. Now, the other way to do this is through the command line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my properties, get rid of those arguments there, clear this out, and show you how arguments can be passed in at the command line. So I'm going to start a new command line here, and I'm going to change directory, and I have this saved on my desktop, so I'm going to go to the desktop like this. And on my desktop, the name of the project is called methods. So that's the name of the project there. So I'm going to go to the methods folder, and then I'm going to go inside the methods folder. I'm going to change directories and go to the source code, and in there I'm going to go into the package called methods, little methods like this. We can see that in our program there, little methods, that's the package it's in. Hit enter. Now I'm going to change directories one more time. Actually, no, I'm going to, right here, this is where I'm going to compile. So in my methods package is where my class methods is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Java compile, and I'm going to make a call to the methods.java file that's sitting there. So anytime you have a program, you have a class file and a Java file. So I'm going to compile that Java file. All good, no errors. Now I'm going to run. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to back up. I'm going to go out one level of the directory. So I'm going to go back to the source file, and I'm going to run Java, and I'm going to say it's my methods class that I'm running. Okay, so with that, I don't need to include the .java at the end. It's a class, so it's already created. And what I'm going to do now is pass it some arguments like healthy argument, and now I run it. Okay, so there's a little error there. One of the things I forgot to do was include the name of the package. So Java, when I run this Java file, it is going to be in the methods package. I find methods class, and then I can pass it argument. There you can see it runs again, outputs that argument. Okay, so if I was to do it again, I could go Java methods dot methods healthy strong, and there you see both of them outputted again. So that's the main method kind of in a nutshell, and that's how it works at the command line. So that's the command line there. So let's go back now to our NetBeans project. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut off my initial message here, and I'm also going to get rid of this loop. I'm going to block out this code for the loop for the arguments, and now show how my method is very similar to the main method. So here was the method that I created called display to screen. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it in a array of strings. Okay, my array of strings is up here in the main method. Okay, I called it string output, and I just put in that same sentence broken up by spaces. So here's that first word. Okay, and then the next one in space, and the next one in space, space, space. So once I have everything set up, what I can do is run my program here, and what's going to happen is it's going to pass this output string to this display to screen method. There's no return because it was void. Okay, it's going to come down here. It's going to receive that string, that array of strings. Okay, and it's going to loop through. Again, I'm going to start at 0 because the first string is at element 0. Okay, it's indexed at 0. I'm going to go through the length. I'm going to use the s.length function to make sure that if I add on some words down here, that this for loop isn't going to crash, and I'm going to increment by 1 so that I go word by word through the whole array, and I'm going to output to the screen, and here we go. And there it is. It's built successfully. So basically the way I've set up this method is exactly how the main method is set up to run. The main method is set up to run at its most basic form, to be publicly available, static. It doesn't return anything. Okay, it's called main, and it takes in a string of arguments either from NetBeans, where I showed you, or from the command line like I showed you. If you have any questions about this week's tutorial, please feel free to contact me.